Hello everyone, Shazam here again, and today I'm trying out something new. Ninja profile videos, where I'll be talking about characters, general info about them, and their techniques. And I thought Jiraiya would be the perfect one to start with, since he's got very few fights, and doesn't use many techniques outside of them. Now I know I already made a video on Jiraiya and how powerful he is, but this one's gonna be slightly different. So Jiraiya is the student of the 3rd Hokage, teacher of the 4th and 7th Hokage, and the leader of Akatsuki, and former leader of the Hidden Rain village. That speaks volumes of his position in the ninja world. Jiraiya was born on November 11th, 50 years old at the start of the series, or he's 191.2 centimeters tall and weighs about 87.5 kilograms. Sorry, I don't speak bananas. His blood type is B, favorite food is garlic with shiso leaves, I don't know what that is, and deep fried chicken too. Least favorite food is kiwi fruit, which I kinda get. I have a history with them. He would like to fight Naruto. Yeah, I didn't see that one coming. And his favorite word is freewheeling, whatever that is. He graduated from the academy at the age of 6, but his age at which he was promoted to Chunin was never specified. Alright, here it comes. He cleared 1,839 missions in total. 58 D rank, 345 C rank, 684 B rank, 614 A rank, and 138 S rank, so this guy is no joke. He clears missions on Zabuza's level for sport. He can use fire release, wind release, water release, earth release, yin release, and yang release, but I don't see the point in his yin release since he can't use genjutsu or healing techniques. Now let's move on to his techniques, and I gotta say there are plenty of them. First we got the 5-pronged seal release. A complicated one, but listen. It's a technique where the user applies chakra into their fingertips and applies it over another seal, depending on that seal. If the symbols had an even number, like in Naruto's case, applying a 5-symbol seal to it will disrupt it. That's basically it. Kinda. In the end, it will just cause some disruption in their chakra control, and they're gonna have a hard time doing that. And now for the summoning technique. There are many summonings, I'll try to go through all of them. First we got Gamabunta, a large summoning toad. He's pretty hard to control, that's why you gotta be nice to your summonings. He was able to overpower QB for a good few seconds when Minato used the bring the house down technique and clashed with the one-tailed beast, so it's safe to say that he's Biju level. Next up is Gamaken, said to be on par with Gamabunta for obvious reasons, as he has the same size as him. He relies solely on taijutsu and is pretty good at it too, using a metal rod as a weapon. So that's basically a second Biju level summoning. Gamahiro is also another toad of Gamabunta's level. Jiraiya used him to kill Orochimaru's snake in Konoha's destruction arc. He also used Bring the House Down. Here's a classic one. His name is Gama. That's simple. A toad who was shown to be able to grab targets with his tongue and basically smack them on the ground. Poor Ebisu. He was also once again summoned to block Samehada to save Naruto. Girotora, he's a scroll toad of Mount Myoboku. By scroll toad I mean he has a scroll for a stomach, in which he stores seals and their formulas. Minato entrusted him with guarding the key to Naruto's seal. Jiraiya stores Girotora inside him, which is pretty kinky. I'll be talking about Fukasaku and Shima later because they have techniques of their own. Next we got the Bring the House Down technique, or Mayhem technique, or the Food Cart Destroyer, or whatever you want to call it. It was used by Minato and Jiraiya, and since this is a video about Jiraiya, so I'll talk about his instance. I did mention it before, he summoned Gamahiro to kill Orochimaru's snake. How? The toad just spawns in the sky and falls on top of it with its entire weight. Yeah, it's a very OP technique against really big targets. Next is Toad Mouth Bind. Ah yes, this technique that had Kisame panicking and almost took both Kisame and Itachi if it weren't for Amaterasu, that is. However, Jiraiya was obviously toying with them, since he could have just swallowed both of them like he did with Sasuke, and Itachi would have been forced to use even more Amaterasu. Overall, one of the coolest techniques Jiraiya had ever used. Next up is the Rasengan. Who doesn't know this one? An A-rank technique invented by Minato, who developed it through witnessing the Biju Dama. Literally translates to Spiral Sphere. Nobody watches Digimon? The ball is made of pure chakra that is said to have the perfect chakra shape manipulation, depends on rotation, power, and containment. Deals more internal damage than external, a technique far more powerful than Chidori. Next up is Yominuma, or the Swamp of the Underworld. Probably the most underused technique, and it was just pretty OP. I don't know why it wasn't used that much. He used it like twice in the series. Once was against Orochimaru in the three-way deadlock battle where he was drugged and swallowed a huge snake. Well, I meant the swamp, not Jiraiya. The swamp. The other time was against Pain. He used it as a way to immobilize the paths once they avoid his other attack or attacks. It was probably one of the best moments for Jiraiya. The guy was using like 5 techniques at the same time. And then Needle Jizo, a shield created by manipulation of hair that can block physical attacks and can protect allies as well. Next is Toad Flame Bombs, or Katan Gamayu Endan. A technique he used with Gamabunta. It's a normal fire style technique but combined with Gamma Oil, most likely any toad of Mount Myoboku since, well, it's oil. Adding the oil increases the fire's range and power. Next up is Art of the Raging Lion's Mane, a B rank technique which in the data book is stated to involve manipulation of hair by having it grow through temporary increase in metabolism of the scalp using chakra. Pretty complicated stuff. The hair hardens because chakra then flows through hair and is comparable to freaking steel. He used it to hold the animal path's crab summoning and then killed it with his hair. Yeah. Next up is not his technique, but it's Demonic Illusion Gamma Rinsho or Toad Confrontation Chant. A secret sound genjutsu that was only used once by Fukasaku and Shima. The genjutsu is a secret technique passed down in Mount Myoboku. The toads sing a song and anyone who hears it falls victim under that genjutsu and their minds are paralyzed. The technique has the downside of giving the location of the caster away, making it incredibly hard to utilize against multiple targets, but it can still catch the whole bunch if it was used right. The databooks say that there has to be 2 toads singing it. There must be combined lyrics to achieve it, so it's a couple downsides, but definitely worth it. Within the genjutsu, there are 4 giant toads surrounding the opponent in all 4 directions and seal them behind a barrier, and they will not release them unless the caster allows it. Now it's also mentioned in the databook that the only way to break out of this would be using a stone sword passed down from Mount Myoboku and driving it through the captive's heart. So if you're caught under that genjutsu, just kill yourself. Unless you're Pain. Next we have Fire Style Flame Bombs. Jiraiya uses this C rank technique by using his chakra to create oil in his mouth and then light it with a Fire Style technique as he spits it out. If the attack was used after the enemy is smeared with Toad Oil Bombs first, then they will probably have a bad day, because they will never get to finish that day, because they'd be dead. Also, it keeps chakra consumption down. Not that Jiraiya needs it, but it's still a plus. Next is Fire Style Giant Flame Bombs, okay? Giant Flame Bombs. A B rank technique which is similar to Flame Bombs, but he uses Senjutsu Chakra to create extra oil and fills his mouth with it. Same way Flame Bombs works. He sprays the oil as he ignites it with a fire style technique. It's said in the databook that the flames are more than 10 times larger than Flame Bombs. Jiraiya used it against Pain to block his escape route and distract the Predapath. And since the Predapath was busy with it for like a minute, I'd say it is 10 times stronger than the Flame Bombs. This technique also has the potential to completely burn everything in a small room or hall. Next up is Gamagakure Jutsu, a C rank infiltration technique where Jiraiya hides in a special diving toad that could dive to depths of up to 100 meters. So it's effective to sneak into places or villages surrounded by lakes and rivers. The inside of the toad is a barrier space that blocks chakra, so it protects the caster from being detected, which is why Pain could only feel Jiraiya when he got out of the toad, which is after the infiltration was successful. Next is Toad Subjugation, Art of the Manipulated Shadow, a B rank technique where Jiraiya casts his chakra onto the target's shadow. He then makes his body as thin as possible and merges with it to temporarily take control over their mind and body. But the downside of this technique is that Jiraiya should hold his breath the whole time the technique is active for the best effect, but he will still be able to speak through the target. Once Jiraiya starts breathing again, his body regains its shape and the jutsu is cancelled. He used the technique twice, once on the Rain Genin, whom he captured to deceive Conan, and the second was to hide in the wall and corner Pain, which didn't take any body mind control. Toad Oil Bombs, a C rank technique, could be used in close and mid-range, and could assist with fire style techniques or become an offense technique. Chakra created in the body is converted to oil and is expelled as a huge mass. The oil is sticky, so it sticks to the target and completely covers them with a film of oil, which prevents them from moving. This oil was shown to be countered by foam, at least from the Rinnegan crab summoning. Alright, next up we got Kekkei Barrier Gamma Yoro. I hope I pronounced that right. Jiraiya summons a gourd toad. He somehow drags the target into it. Don't ask me how, but in the anime it looked like Fukasaku and Shima did it. The inside of the toad's stomach is a sealed dimension isolated from the outside world. Jiraiya has a personal dimension confirmed. A lake of gastric acid is there as well, so yeah, that must be fun. Jiraiya also kept the animal path's body in there and got it to Konoha so they could study pain. And then pain made them know pain. Had to say it. Next up is Tengai Perimeter Barrier. This one's for the guys who believe only Sage Mode helps Jiraiya in sensing opponents. This barrier is a B rank jutsu that creates a sphere-shaped detection barrier with Jiraiya as its center, so it basically moves with him. The barrier can expand at Jiraiya's will to cover the entire battlefield. At least Jiraiya used it, and it was large enough to surround Gamaken, who is as large as Gamabunta. Anything happening inside the barrier can be felt by Jiraiya. Summoning Toad Shop Jutsu. A jutsu where Jiraiya summons a shop toad. I know, it sounds dumb. And seals an enemy inside it. The shop toad can transform into a structure resembling a building using Jiraiya's chakra to mold it. The shop can shrink back into a toad with a hand sign by Jiraiya. Next up is Massive Rasengan. A normal Rasengan, only much bigger, and I mean big enough to be a few times larger than an average person. This increase in size is done by increasing the chakra added to the Rasengan. Pretty easy, right? Wrong answer. A chakra sphere that large can only be managed by Senjutsu, by adding natural energy to it. Unfortunately, Jiraiya only used it once, and that was to confirm the Predapath's ability of absorption. So it basically didn't accomplish anything. And it was performed in a cool clip to show how much of a speed boost Sage Mode offers. Next up is Ninja Art of Transformation. Toad. I don't know how this is a C rank technique, but hear this out. Jiraiya places his hand on the target's forehead and transforms them into a toad with a specific image in his mind. Usually used to intimidate the target, or at least that's how he used it on the Rain's Genin. Now I don't know whether it's temporary or permanent, but it's a pretty big deal for a C rank jutsu. Next up is Sage Art, Bath of Boiling Oil. Ah yes, one of my favorites. A secret technique used by Jiraiya in Sage Mode. Offense based and could be used in short, mid, or long range. A collaborative technique with the two great Sage Toads. Jiraiya releases oil, Fukasaku releases wind style, and Shima releases water style, all in huge quantities. The attack seems to be able to fill the entire area Jiraiya is in that he had to jump on the wall to avoid it. The temperature of the oil is stated in the data book to be several thousand degrees, so yeah, definitely an OP jutsu. It would have taken out pain definitely if he didn't have the Predapath there. Next we have the Shadow Clone technique, the iconic ability of Naruto's, one that requires a lot of chakra to control and even more chakra to maintain according to Kakashi. Chakra is distributed equally among each clone and they can't be distinguished even by a Byakugan. Next up is Sage Art Kibari Senbon. Jiraiya hardens his hair, pretty simple, just like Needle Jizo and the Lion's Mane, but in this case, Fukasaku and Shima keep his hair constantly and actively growing, making it fire a nearly infinite number of needles non-stop. It's the fastest attack Jiraiya has in Sage Mode with such range. Next up is Tongue Knife. This is a short, mid, long range technique that Fukasaku used. In the anime, it's shown to be a water style technique. I actually didn't know it wasn't till I looked into it in the data book. You see, it's actually his tongue being sharp as hell. By manipulating Senjutsu chakra, Fukasaku's tongue gains extreme hardness and sharpness. He just discharged it, split the ground, and instantly killed the chameleon. Emphasis on instantly. Next up is Tongue Trap. One would think it's a French kissing battle, but it's just how toads play. This technique was used by Shima. Her tongue has the form of a face through her skillful use of Senjutsu chakra. It has the ability to detect creatures through their scents. Once she finds them, it extends at incredible speed and she wraps it around them like a whip before dissolving them with the acid it produces. However, the technique isn't enough to kill a target as the chameleon survived, but it did make it easier for Fukasaku to kill it. Alright, I know you've all been waiting for this one. Sage Mode. The most broken ability in the series, my favorite one of them all, and definitely the best thing Jiraiya has up his sleeve as it enables him to many other techniques, which requires massive amounts of chakra. I did make a video about it, would be swell if you checked it out. Jiraiya can't enter Sage Mode on his own mid-battle since it requires him to stay still. That's why he summons Fukasaku and Shima to do it for him. They gather the natural energy as he fights simultaneously, so it basically doesn't run out. Sage Mode gives massive boost to Taijutsu, Ninjutsu, and Genjutsu. Jiraiya sucks at Genjutsu anyway. Imperfect or not, Sage Mode is definitely a trump card for any user. Not that having perfect Sage Mode necessarily means they're stronger, might talk about it in another video. Jiraiya uses his blood to shade both undersides of his eyes to summon the toads on his shoulders, and then the fun begins. And last but not least, sealing spell, Finger Carved Seal. As the last technique Jiraiya used, it's only fair I talk about it last. It's a pretty simple one. He concentrates chakra in his fingertips to create heat that is used to engrave a message on the target. Jiraiya used this ability when he was basically dead. In his last moments, he was able to push himself up, indicating physical strength and durability at his worst. Concentrate chakra and actually control it, as the technique requires delicate chakra control according to the data book, indicating his chakra reserves. Also, Sage Mode indicates that, and also indicates his control. And last but not least, he wrote a code on Fukasaku's back, and that code was basically letters from his book in specific pages, so that's quick thinking and memory all in one guy. Honestly underrated. Anyway, that's all I could gather of the techniques Jiraiya uses. Let me know if I should make more videos like this about more characters, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.